Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Welcome to episode 132 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with co-host Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, the sports professors, I should say. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSOH 1230 AM studios with Texas Radio Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Man, if y'all could have been in the studio and hearing some of this back talk before we got in there, we had Brian jump in here and give us some love and have some dialogue that was really interesting. We'll share some of that during the summer when we get more into the business of sports, but that is Brian and AD of Sports Rap, giving us some love and motivation before we get on here. With that, let me go straight to Charles. How you doing today?
Doing well, Dr. Cavil. It's championship week, of course, with football. So looking forward to traveling in to that game and catch Alabama A&M and UAPB. Should be a great one in Jackson. Two high-flying offenses, so it should be fun.
Man, great deal. Mike, what about yourself?
All is gravy, man. Just another work week. It's Tuesday evening, the year of our Lord, April 27th, and all is well. It's championship week. Unfortunately, I will not be able to catch it. I will be headed with my youngest and family to the Super Regionals in Dallas for lacrosse, Texas State lacrosse. So we headed to the two Super Regionals. But I'll be keeping an ear to the street, seeing what's going on with the game.
I was gonna say, I know you're gonna be cheating over there, having one eye on that. I think you got on that iPhone. You'll be making it work and be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that." Yay! It's so good. It's good to see you. Certainly, family first, and have to take care of that business. And we're excited for getting it done in lacrosse. A lot of good stuff going on as things are just moving forward. With that said, we have a great show for you today. We'll extend the show a little bit, so stick with us and be paced and be ready for it. It looks like we'll be able to get both coaches in today. Obviously, Doc Gamble of University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, UAPB, and we'll also have Coach Connell Maynor, Alabama A&M. So early in the hour, we should have Pine Bluff's head coach, and in the later part of the show, we'll have Alabama A&M. So stick with us. We're going to jump in there and get a lot of things going with that. With that, let me shout out and get this one out of the way. You know, I usually go to you all, but if you allow me to have a little host privilege and jump with this note of the day, really excited to announce none other than Dr. Henry Frazier III is now the player development coach, if you would, a development individual at the University of Maryland. Many of those that have been involved with HBCUs, both those at Prairie View and North Carolina Central have certainly followed him. He ultimately won a championship at Prairie View and certainly had North Carolina heading in the right direction until the events occurred that led to him being dismissed from North Carolina Central. But things are doing well. He was assistant coach back at his alma mater, Bowie State. He's seen what they were doing at the Division II level. Has good coaching tree in terms of folks that are getting it done in a lot of ways. Went back to his high school and doing some stuff as the athletic director. And now he's back at a Power 5 institution in the Big Ten. if you would. Maryland, as you all know, they've moved from the ACC. I always have to be careful about how fast I say that. But plus, we don't talk a lot about them. We're all in the business of HBCU, but he is an HBCU grad. So want to give him a shout out. Proud member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. You know, we always had that tie in there. So kudos to him and those that support that fraternity and HBCUs as he is getting it done in a lot of ways. Notice I did say doctor, for those that realize he did earn a PhD. And so I tease him all the time about that. I had actually got a chance to go to his dissertation presentation. As he do that, that was really cool to see that come full circle. He did a bang up job. I had to throw in a question and slow somebody else down. I look
forward to that one day.
Yeah. That was fast. And he actually did, as we constructed that presentation before we got into this with Brian, he actually talked about in his dissertation about African-American Black coaches getting an opportunity to become head coaches at the FCS level and things of that nature. So it was right on time. So we might get a chance to tie him and bring him in to talk a little more about that, particularly as we get into the summer months when we don't have sports going on. But right now we have sports going on. So with that, whether you want to go in that direction or another one, I'm going to go to you, Charles. What's on your mind right now?
Oh, quite a bit. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to Dwayne Lewis as he's checking in. SWAC football championship game, UAPB Sports Radio Network. They'll be broadcast nationally on Sirius XM, starting ESPNU Radio, channel 84. So he says the UAPB lines are coming. All right. Shout out to Dwayne Lewis.
The bad man.
Bad man over at UAPB. What
a coming.
And Mike, you had mentioned going to your son's lacrosse tournament this weekend, but Tennessee State, very interesting report that came from a Nashville Post. Tennessee State is considering an ice hockey program, so that's pretty cool. You know, in terms of African Americans venturing out into sports that are not, you know, traditional, where we see African American student athletes play in. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was on a project with the Center of Justice at Texas Southern University with Dr. Howard Henderson. Wow, the Megas are taking over. He happens to be another proud member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. That's enough about them already. But with that being said, he has me working on a project for the National Hockey League, where we're looking at some of those things. So it's good to see that they're moving forward quite quickly in regards to this may be opportunity for Tennessee State to look at developing a hockey program, and it would obviously be the first for HBCU. Mike, I know you wanted to jump in and have some further comments on that. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a great move. I hope you see a lot more of that. You know, HBCUs taking on non-traditional sports. I have a nephew who still lives in Minnesota, and he's playing hockey. He's pretty good coming up through the ranks. But, you know, you'd like to see them, you know, as they come to the end of their high school career, have those choices. You know, is there an HBCU out there, you know, that has, you know, those sports that are not familiar? But I'm certainly excited about it. I saw that as well, CV. So, and then it said, you know, if it does come to fruition, they would be the first HBCU to have a hockey. So I was like, I had to scratch my temples. Like, would they be the first HBCU? I'm not deep enough in my history to understand that, but it looks like I did a quick search. They would probably be the first HBCU to have, you know, a hockey program, and that's optimum words, a hockey program. So, I
haven't heard of an intramural league for hockey.
Right.
Particularly, you don't even really have, if you think about it, you don't even have a lot of historic white collar universities in the South that have a hockey program. The one that I come to think about is UAH, which I was going to say would be interesting to see because they're actually a Division II program, obviously in the same city of Huntsville with Alabama A&M. But people may not realize this, we'll put this out there, that even as a Division II program, the NCAA allows Division II programs to designate one program outside of basketball and football that they can play as a D1 designation.
That's
and
what, yeah.
School of H was the one I was thinking about in that area as I was in Huntsville, Alabama A&M where I met a lot of the folks. Shout out to Rod Twin, Alabama A&M, and those alphas that I had to help bring into the fraternity. Use those courses. That it could be some synergy, at least for a close vicinity, in terms of those teams playing up and being in the same conference if they decide to move forward at the Division I level. So there is some area. They would have to go up from there really to the Midwest in regards to what that looks like.
Yep.
But yeah, unless something I miss over, I haven't heard of any HBCU even playing at the intramural level. And then the next thing I would say is you have to go back in history to make the connection is Nova Scotia in Africaville, where they had the first framework of Africans, Blacks, African Americans, whatever you want to use, because a lot of them were also Canadians that played hockey. And they actually have some things that historically that they still use today. The slap shot, the goalies going down to his knees were things that they embedded in the game and end up transversing and going over to the National Hockey League. So wanted to kind of put a little historical note since you brought that up. Poignantly, Mike, a great point you make there. Sticking with you, Mike, what are some other things that you thought were big news that you want to jump out there?
I guess kudos to the North Carolina A&T track and field team. They raised all kinds of sand at the Drake relays. My goodness. I'm sure everybody knows the Drake Relays is one of the premier track and field events. When my daughter was running track, we had a chance to go there. It's in Des Moines, Iowa. And it's pretty much one of the premier track and field events. I mean, you just run down the list of accolades. Junior Simone Davis, she won the women's 100 meters. She also was part of the mile relay, which is commonly known as the 4x400. Junior Rasheed Brown had a win in the 110 hurdles. The women's 4x100 team, which consists of two sophomores, a junior and a freshman, actually placed first. They had the second fastest qualifying time on Friday. Then they had to turn around and had the fastest qualifying time on Saturday at a 43.95. Man, that's some serious splits on those corners. And they have the top 4x100 team in the SWAC, the Meac, and 13th in the nation. That is huge. Yeah. The men's 4x400 mile relay team had a victory. Their rank sank at second in the country, 38th in the country. This A&T track and field team, they are taking it to that next level. They are big. I can't go through all the accolades just for time's sake, but they went to the Drake Relay, and if you hadn't heard of them yet, you will now. You know them now. So,
yep, great point. Yeah, you're right. If you've been out there in the tumbleweeds and do not know about the Aggies in terms of that track field, first sat on you, but they sure gonna make sure you recognize them in a short bit. We've been keeping up with them as they were trending in this direction. They squarely have landed in the middle of the map of track and field across the country and in some ways across the world. I want to go in the same direction as you talked about hockey. Intriguing. You have the push for gymnastic program is growing. There are currently no HBCU gymnastic programs despite how prominent Black women have become participants in the sport. Grambling State University is set to host the 5th annual Brown Girls Do Gymnastics Conference in July in collaboration with the Doug Williams Center for Sports and Race at Grambling State University, obviously, and it's in Ruston Lincoln Convention and Visitor Bureau. The organization is pushing a grassroots initiative to introduce competitive gymnastics to HBCUs. Brown Girls Do Gymnastics Conference will take place July 23rd and 25th. You can read more about this if you'd like at www.browngirlsdo-conference-2021. So basically just go to browngirlsdogymnastics.com and you'll check it out. Could HBCU support gymnastic programs? What are your thoughts? I'll stick with you, Mike. What are your thoughts? Is that feasible and realistic in your opinion?
Yes. And I thought about this. I think they could if they started off on the right foot, had the right push, had the right development program. I think it's perfectly reasonable for an HBCU to support a gymnastic program. If you look at all the other spring sports they support, you know, and all of them, I won't just say, you know, African Americans or Africans, all the minorities that they bring to those universities, you know, why not a gymnastics program? I certainly think it's possible. Just from a representation of minorities perspective, you have another outlet to bring minorities to an HB. Now, I don't know what the, you know, the NCAA rules are in terms of number of programs, but I think there's room on plenty of our HBCU teams to add that to the list. And I think the support is there. I think the interest is there. So it's kind of like the corporate world, supply, demand, it's all there. So
I like the way you said it, supply and demand. Charles, what is your opinion on this?
No doubt about it. The interest is there. I mean, when you take, of course, you know, I'm know very well about gymnastics competitions and whatnot with my daughters, but I tell you what, that's something that they lament in terms of when you get to a certain point, that's kind of the end, and especially when you want your daughters to look at HBCUs and continue to compete in gymnastics. So yeah, it is definitely viable and feasible, and look forward to when a program actually springs up on HBCU campus.
Yeah, I think some of the concerns out there, I think both of you make great points, and I was wondering if you're going to share a little bit of that insight, Charles, about what you know about gymnastics. I appreciate you letting us inside that a little bit, but great points you make there. But with that being said, I think there are some people that have some legitimate concerns in terms of the cost. You know, what is the cost? A lot of people will tell you that HBCU programs, whether it's Division I or Division II, are not necessarily fully funded, which is a point that we need to make before we jump too far on this. But with that being said, I think one of the components you want to look at is the fact with the current environment, you have a lot of folks that want to invest in these programs. And so I think that is really an angle that will help us do that. With that, without further ado, we have our first guest on. That is none other than Coach Doc Gamble, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, UAPB. He is representing the Western Division. Spring 2021 in the SWAC championship game that will be played in Jackson, Mississippi. And he is coming back to the show. So he's not a stranger. So we won't go through all that. We'll get a chance to go right into some of the meat of it and talk about what his team is prepared to do. With that, I will let everybody know that I thought your comments are really good in terms of the SWAC Media Day. For those that may have seen it, go and check it out. You can tell he's ready. With that, Doc, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Man, we're excited. It's SWAC Championship Week.
Yeah, well, thank you. Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
I know that. Well, Coach, let us get somewhat inside the program. How are you preparing for this week? I know a lot of people will tell you, or a lot of coaches will say, I should say, excuse me, that it's just another game. How do you measure that in regards to your preparation, that you treat it in many ways like another game, but obviously in some facets, you know that this is a big game? How do you go through that?
Well, the only person that's been bothering is me, you know, so everybody else has been business as usual. You know, our building is locked in mentally. You know, this is doing our interviews and speaking about our program, which you know, we're thankful for, and our team deserves it. You know, we do deserve some good recognition and for the work that we put in and the guys that put in. But it's taking me out of those meeting rooms, you know, and I think our assistant coaches, well, the coaching staff, they might be in the joint a little bit better than me, more than me, but by me being in my office and they're in the other rooms, putting together a good game plan for us. So, but no, other than that, you know, our guys, we just got off the practice field. And there's, you know, to be honest with you, it's no different from previous weeks to now. You know, our ticket list has grown a little bit longer, you know, and request. So we're handling that. But I told them, hey, don't come asking me any questions. You guys handle that, and I'll handle this. You know, so you know, but you know, and I'll be real honest with you. My what I told those guys today. Now we're not just going up here for this. Is not a tourist a visitation for us. You know, we're going up here to take care of some business.
Yeah, you can go back for the African American Museum there in Jackson. I heard Charles is a really good one. But no, this is not the time or the place. With that, let me jump to Charles, since I just mentioned him, let him follow up with a question if you would.
No doubt. Coach Gamma, definitely congratulations again. And it's funny you mentioned ticket list. I wanted to ask about a couple of your standouts on the defensive side of the ball. We've talked ad nauseum about everybody on the offensive side of the ball, but you got a linebacker, and Isaac Peppers, and Jalen Thigpen, both Mississippi guys, Isaac from Greenville, Jalen from Laurel, but they're getting an opportunity to come back to Mississippi and play in front of their kinfolk, if you will. So talk a little bit about those players.
I tell you about, there's some proud, they are proud Mississippians. I tell you that, man. We took a team picture and they put up the M sign. And, I tell you, we got to retake that photo, man, or we're going to have to crop those hands off. So, but yeah, they all did. And not just him, but we also have Paul Reeves from Mississippi as well. And they're very, and Solomon Brooks. They love where they're from, and we love those guys as well, and they're playing well for us. But Isaac has been a guy. He's has some game experience from in the past, and he stepped up into his role, and he stepped it up, took it up to another notch. And then Jalen, of course, he's taking it up another notch. So the thing about it, both of those guys, I love what I like about our guys, and what I really like about them is they're the same guys that you knew from day one. Peppers is still. We had to tone him down. We got mad because he got a couple personal fouls and in the game. But I say, he's been doing that for 2 years now. So he still, that's what he does. He's going to get one. He still gets yelled at about it, but that's what he has done. But still, you don't turn him down. He's a guy if he's turned up, you leave him up. And then Jalen Thigpen, he stepped it up. And I might have told a story about we had 1 week off and we didn't do a lot of banging, and then we came back on that Monday. He said Monday's typically a non-padded day, and we still Mondays are non-padded, and I heard him talking around the building. Hey, should we wear shoulder pads today? We didn't get a chance to hit last week, So, but that's the mentality. He's a dude. He's a dude. So, but I definitely want to talk about another guy is Kobe Watts. Kobe.
Yeah.
Kobe's been playing lights out as well. So, and they don't look the part now. What I'm saying? Those are our linebackers. We got a couple younger guys who look the part, and those will be who the type we got. But I told them, sometimes you can't judge a book by the cover.
Sure.
These guys will tackle you and get you down, and that's all we need. But they're some really good football players.
Schematically, does it?
Go ahead, Charles.
No, I was thinking schematically, does it kind of change what your linebackers can do when you have these spread type offenses where you can, or a Quill Glass can, maybe go 4 or 5 wide?
Yeah, well, we don't have to send out different personnel with those guys because they move well enough. They're not just in the box linebackers. We can move them out and they can cover backers just as long as they're playing with good eye discipline. We did let the running back get away from us against Prairie View, but it was just schematically something that they were so grooved into stopping the run that it was a good job by Coach Dooley and that staff over there was saying, hey, well, they're going to stuff the run. We got to get the back out on the edges, and we just had to get out of that groove of, hey, now we got to have great eye discipline and see where they're going with this. And I tell you what, we made the change at halftime now, and I told them, hey, draw it up in the dirt, whatever they're doing. The running back shouldn't be the lead receiver, and they adjusted and made it happen. So
sure,
but we got some heady guys, and they're students of the game as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Mike, let me let you jump in here and ask the follow-up question, please.
How you doing, Coach? Thanks again for coming on the show. I've often said with Doc, he don't let me have the mic very often, but I often said, Doc Gamble, man, you got the coolest name in sports. Man, serious, Doc Gamble. You sound like an old school gunfighter.
Well, I tell you what, my mom gave me that name too. I get a lot of times, Mom, what's your real name? What your mom didn't give you that name? I just say, yes, she did. She did give me that name. In all honesty, I've never asked her why. I just, so I never asked, and that's my name, and it's been good.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
I love it. So, my question is this. I mean, you've taken the reins. You have a fairly new kind of coaching staff, and much has been aligned about this Alabama A&M vaunted passing attack. They've got Moore, they've got Ibrahim, they've got Allaire, but you have your own passing attack of your own, and Wilkes and Routh and Ballard. You know, is there a sense of a chip or that these guys are going into or is it going to be, we're really treating this game as normal, or are they going to this game and say, wait a minute, we got a vaunted offense too? Do you get that sense as you go through these daily practices leading up to the championship game?
You know, the one thing I do know is what we have at practice every single day, what I see around our building every single day. And we got some guys, you know, and that's we've recruited well. We're going to continue to recruit well. We've developed well, and we're going to continue to develop well. But we got some guys. And I said this the day I got the job. I say, I'll take our guys against anybody. You know, our first group of guys can go play against anybody, you know, and you can see that if you ever, once they loosen things up and allow people back out to practice, and we have some open practices. If you came to one of our practices, you would think we were, you know, maybe a high mid-major, you know, FBS, especially, you know, and I know where I've come from, and I say these guys can play at any of the previous schools I've been at, you know. So, you know, for us, I always say, you know, you play with your starters, but you win with the next guy in. So that's where the development is still coming from. The next guy in, if the next guy in is just as good as the starters, now you're getting iron sharpening iron, you know, and those guys are being pushed. So, but no, we got a good crew. We got a good crew, and they're just as talented as anybody in the country.
Absolutely.
With that, Coach, if you allow me, we have one of our viewers want to ask a question.
Okay.
Jumping in there, and I have a poll ranking that I do with inside the HBCU huddle. So she wants to go inside that huddle if possible. Please share some of your inspirational words, key empowerment themes that you use to motivate the minds of young players leading up to the game day. So, you know, obviously the one this week, you got to save that. But I've heard that you had some powerful ones over this short spring thing. Dwayne Lewis kind of let me inside myself. But if you would, share something with our viewers, because I think some of the things you say are magical. It just had me ready to up, and I don't have any more viewers.
I kind of forget, you know, because I moved on to the next one, to be honest with you. But I think back to the Grambling game, and I told the guys, and it was motivating, but it was corny at the same time. But I was able to show it. We had to be Ghostbusters, you know. We had to go down there and just for some reason, you know, things just magically, you know, don't go your way when you go down to Grambling and play. You know, you not only have to beat the team across from you, but you got to beat the past, you know, and those guys but we had to be Ghostbusters that week, you know, so, and we were able to do that. You know, like I said, it was corny when I first initially said it, but it rang true. And, you know, and you can see it versus some of the other games. And I was able to go back in the past and show some of the games, some of the clips where the ball just pops out of a guy's hand out of nowhere. And I you know, I said, hey, that must be Everson Walls knocking the ball out of the guy's hand or somebody. But I mean, it showed itself, you know. So, and I was able to show it other teams, but it was always in that stadium. You know, you have to beat the team across from you, but you got to beat the Ghosts as well.
Mm. And that's a great point, and thank you for taking it inside there. Like you said, it may have seemed corny, but it worked. And so at the end of the day, nothing corny about that. No. With that, Charles, did you want to jump in here with a follow-up question?
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask a little bit about your defense coordinator, Jonathan Bradley. You've been checking in on him. Any extra bags under the eyes this week, or how's it going with the defense coordinator?
He's good. John is good. John's going to be a bright. He's a bright mind. I'm saying he's going to be up and coming. He's going to be a fight to keep him around here for a while, guys. And people are going to start calling for him. You know, I just told John, you know, for John, he's going to have to remember, hey, I got some of this stuff from Coach Gamble now, so make sure he gives me some credit when they. The big thing about John is, you know, he's a former NFL guy, but he's worked under some really good dudes. He played at Arkansas State. He worked under Gus Malzahn as a GA. He worked at North Carolina Central. He's gotten a shot. You know, and to be honest with you, I got the chance to get to know John by playing dominoes and just getting together, going over his house and not knowing, you know, I was just assistant just like he was. But when he got here, he was just trying to get to know him. And really, I was trying to see how competitive he was. And he wasn't trying to let me win. I wasn't trying to let him win. You know, and then when, you know, I took over the reins, they said, well, John has the title, but who's going to call. I said John, and he has a title because I know what he's going to bring to the table. And excuse me. And then when I do slip him some notes here and there, he tries to incorporate them, you know, as best as can. And the thing about it now, he's gotten to the point to saying, hey, coach, well, you know, that might not fit this week. So that's what I like about him, too. They don't just say, hey, you know, just because the head man comes in, but he does it the right way. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's bringing some other guys along with him, that whole staff together. So he's and the kids want to play hard for him. You know what I'm saying? He's able to get up in front of the room and motivate those dudes, but doing it the right way. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to be tough to keep around, and I know that because he is real good. He is real good. And a lot of times when you get your D-line coach is the D coordinator, he really don't know the back end. You know, and John knows the whole picture. So that's what's making him, you know, really, really, you know, starting to become a special dude there. So here for us. So, but he's an assistant. He's the associate head coach as well. So, and I say if everything happened to me, John's the next guy in line, and ain't nobody questioning it either.
No doubt.
No doubt about it. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Doc Gamble, the head football coach at UAPB, Arkansas Pine Bluff. With that, let Mike jump back here and ask another question.
Yeah, Coach Candle, let me take you back a little bit. I mean, you went into the season, everybody was dealing with COVID, right?
Yeah.
You had that big unknown. Did you know how special this team, did you see it then, how special this team was? And if so, what made you see how special this team was and how well they could perform, at least in the spring of 2021 with all of the challenges?
We, you know, excuse me, thank you. We knew we lost a lot of close games in 19. So, and, you know, we were trying to learn how to win, you know, so, but we knew the pieces of the puzzles was here. And just, you know, and I have changed some things subtly, you know, and I just tried to make it as smooth as possible, but there's some other things that we had to do to elevate us so we can start to play at a high level. And the biggest thing too was pointing out why we were losing those close games, you know, when you got comparable competition, you know, so in those games where we were comparable, we just didn't know how to do it. And then, you know, of course, the COVID thing happened, and I mean, the pandemic is still here, but the one thing I have noticed about it, we haven't wavered, you know. So these guys have witnessed change through that, as well as coaching changes, but have been able to adapt, you know, and roll with it, and they have not complained one time. You know, the only time that I've heard our guys complain was when the game got cut short against Alabama State. That's it.
Big news there. This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're interviewing the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff UAPB head football coach, Doc Gamble. With that, Doc, I know you are extremely busy. I just want to say thank you for taking a little bit out of your time for this championship week. And we want to wish you the best of luck going into this game. Go Golden Lions. Get it done.
Thanks a lot. I will say this, since Dwayne's has really turned me on to you guys, and since the last time I've been on the show, I tend to take a peek one day out of the week, you know, so
thank you.
I'm starting to think I get to know you guys a little bit better, you know what I'm saying? So hey, but I appreciate you guys for covering this.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
With that said, you do that, you're welcome on this show anytime. That's what I'm talking about.
That's yes. Right. All right.
Yeah. All right.
All right, thanks a lot.
Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. You just heard us finishing our interview with Coach Doc Gamble, Arkansas Pine Bluff, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, UAPB. Stick with us. We have an impactful show. We're going to talk a little bit about inside the game, and then wait for the second half. We'll have an interview coming up with Coach Maynor, Alabama A&M. Should be joining us before the end of the show. With that, we'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We have much more to discuss about this big game, SWAC Championship Spring 2021. It is officially here.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, My colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
And along with
For the first time since 1954, a true HBCU sports champion will be crowned on the field. The Black College World Series will feature 7 HBCUs battling for supremacy in baseball from April 28th to May 1 at Riverwalk Stadium in Montgomery, Alabama. Tickets are available at ticketrun.com and can be viewed online at mybcsn.net.
this event brought to you by the City of Montgomery, the Montgomery Biscuits, BCSG 360, Black College Nines, Golden Coast Logistics, and the Black College Sports Network.
What a shot! That's how you get hot, young fella.
Q time is up. Talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon'.
Welcome back to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I want to make sure I got this out in front of our audience as we close out April, which is National Minority Health Month. And I wanted to make sure that we put this link in the chat, www.joinallofus.org. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity is a partner along with the Divine Nine and other trusted community organizations with the All of Us research program. Dr. Cavil, myself, and Mike Washington were all members of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And as community ambassadors and advisors, not only do we promote HBCU sports, but we promote comprehensive health, wellness, and involvement with the All of Us research program. Go to the website, www.joinallofus.org to learn more. And we're also going to put this link down in the chat, which is a survey link with partnerships and public health matters. So please take 30 to 60 seconds to look at that link and participate in the survey.
Certainly, we need your support and your involvement. So jump on here and make sure you check out that survey. Do us a favor and make sure you do that. With that, give them the website where they can get more information again, Charles.
No doubt about it, www.joinallofus.org.
No doubt about it. We'll pin, like we said, a little link that you can go and do the survey. Please do that for all the folks in the lab. So while I have that, as we're coming back with Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, be a good time. Let me get some shout outs. We didn't get to do that early. Russ Russell, you heard me ask a question. Alan Bozeman, Belinda Johnson, Rick Brunson, Wendy Jenkins, Bishop, Christopher White, Charles Honey and a half child Cooper is always representing with a lot of these folks. Shout out to Lonnie Shaw, gave them Aggies some love. You know, he gonna be in the house representing. And I say again, appreciate that cap. I'm gonna represent that when I wear some of those colors. You know, I like to make sure I spread the love around. Jerome Jeep Sutton representing for the BAMs and FAMU, getting it done in a lot of ways in terms of all the love he got out there. You see Ralph Cooper, obviously, always making sure he shares us some love in terms of space and time. Michael Ford, Brent Brunson, LaShawn Harris, keep shouting us out and get your information in. We will ask questions. If you get some legitimate questions, we can follow them in there and we'll answer them. Or if you have some questions for us, let us know. We'd like to make sure we're interactive with our followers. We appreciate all that you do. With that, let's get in a little more conversation as we move forward with the show. Before we get into the game, and obviously we'll really be breaking it down Thursday as we get a little more momentum in there. We should have another surprise guest. The head man of the conference should be blessing us with a little presence, trying to make sure we iron out his schedule to give you that. Check us out from Sunday. We really took a deep dive into the matchup where we broke down the offense, defense, special teams, and coaching in terms of advantage. So most of you all follow that, but if you hadn't checked, go to YouTube. You can find us, Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Look for our last episode in terms of 131, and you can see us really going in there. That was BJ Jones that showed us some love in terms of giving us some information in there. So a lot of great information on this show as well. With that, Charles, obviously the big question out there, Southern Athletic Director says he hopes to have a football coach hired by the end of the week, and that would be this week. Any thoughts in terms of what may be going on in that search? Obviously, we had some names out there. We don't have to get into names. A lot of folks are doing that back and forth. It's hard to tell whether how much of that is relevant or not. But just in thoughts in general, in terms of maybe maybe the importance of this hire?
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at the Southern head coaching job. The first thing that kind of jumped out at me is that you're going to be inheriting a talented veteran team, whomever steps into that void, and beyond that, a fervent fan base. So from jump, what the expectations are. There's no build up to I need to get my recruits in. Nah, you're getting in front of Jag Nation. So I think whoever takes over that job, they know the expectations, and what more can you ask for in terms of playing in front of a fan base that loves coming out for Southern football, and then you get a good team to boot.
No doubt about it. Mike, did you want a little piece of this? Anything that you're hearing out there in regards to your thoughts on this hire? Being in the Western Division with Prairie View, Grambling, now Alcorn coming over. What are your thoughts in terms of just the framing of this hire with the timing going into the fall when things really take a step of excitement?
Yeah, I think I will agree that it certainly is a prominent position at Southern University. You have a very active and engaging alumni base. You have a very I think CB called it fervor. I say passionate. And I mean, I stress passionate.
Way beyond yeah.
But you do inherit a very talented team going into the fall of 2021. You would like for the coach to have been there through the spring, but you have an experienced team. You have coaches in place. So whoever takes the reign has to understand this is the Southern fan base. This is Southern University Jaguar Nation. They're very passionate, but I have a squad to work with. And I think it's going to be a few steps to get integrated. It's like putting on a new pair of jeans. You put that first pair of jeans on and they're a little stiff. I think they're going to have to put them on. And whoever they bring in, whether it's a unicorn, as you alluded to, CB, or whether it's someone else who's more experienced and has worked their way through the ranks. I think the first few months is going to be like putting on that pair of jeans. It's going to be stiff. It's going to be rough. I think they have enough time to work through it. But I expect Southern to be just as competitive in the fall as they have been. Whoever steps into that position.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna have to go get me this little fluffy unicorn with HBCU sports. Oh yeah, that term really go viral in a lot of ways. I love it. Let's get back into and go in a different direction. Baseball is being played. I want to give a shout out to Prairie View A&M. People have known how I've questioned where that program is. They've
six straight.
6 in a row, which is amazing to me in terms of where they started out the season. So credit to Prairie View A&M Panthers. With that being said, you have the baseball tournament relocating to Toyota Field in Madison, Alabama, from SWAC.org, and that is literally a state-of-the-art facility that even the minor league ball team has not played in it yet because of COVID-19, obviously. This past year that is still ongoing for those that hadn't quite realized that. But that's another subject to be discussed maybe at a later time. Well, with that being said, 2021 SWAC baseball tournament can't make sure that we throw out Jackson State. They're still undefeated. Say it again. They are still undefeated in conference play. Kudos, ranked number 1 in the Black College Nines. I voted this week. And without a doubt, I voted them number 1. I'll share with everybody. I think they're getting it done. Before we get into all this magic about the postseason, let's celebrate the season that's going on now. A lot of young men are playing hard in regards to COVID-19 protocols. So that is the Rocket City Trash Pandas. That's the AA baseball team. So spectators, 7,000. So you'll be able to spread out, which is a good thing. And so let me stick with you, Mike. Any thoughts in terms of the baseball tournament? I know you grew up coaching baseball with your sons, playing baseball a lot before they switched over to lacrosse, playing both of them during a period of time until the sporting coaching takes over and makes them focus on one sport, which is another discussion, but I won't make you get into that frustration. But what are your thoughts in terms of the baseball tournament as it's coming up? And we'll show some love also for the softball tournament coming up as well.
Yeah, well, kudos to the SWAC staff. We talked last week, with Dr. McClellan and all of the decision-making process, that his team, the staff, the ADs went through, for the championship game. And here's another example of, they had to look at the situation, analyze, and do what's best. Picked a great stadium, a great venue. The Rocket City Trash. Man, I'd love to play. I don't know about playing for that team. My son, could you play for that double team? So, I can just see the call. The Trash got another win. So, but other than that, a great venue, 7,000 seats, allows for open movement. The CDC just came out with a new rule that if you're out in the open and separated, you can lower the mask protocol. So, but I'm sure there'll still be protocols here. So you could tell by the location, the venue, that a lot of thought went into this. And I think it'll be a very successful event. Hopefully that my Panthers will somehow pull. They are almost tied for first place in the West. I see Charles shaking his head. But this Jackson State team is very hard to beat. But I look for a very competitive tournament. If you look at the standings and you look at who's leading in offense, they picked a perfect venue. It's got plenty of room. I looked it up on a map. And so you can space out, implement protocols. It's got places for kids. It's got places, for the teams to warm up, which is very crucial. So perfect venue, perfect opportunity, great thought process. Hats off again to the SWAC staff and all of the head coaches and ADs that probably chimed in on this decision.
No doubt about it. Charles, any thoughts? I know Mike was trying to get you in a little trash talk there, but you didn't bite for it.
No.
Flag baseball tournament relocated to Toyota Field.
I tried to get a side jab.
Yeah, I saw you. That was nice. I called you out on that. I'll make sure you do that. You jabbing a little bit. It's like, come on.
No, I think this is really exciting. Amidst all the hoopla of spring football, baseball was almost, kind of operated just kind of under the radar. But, kudos to Prairie View. I mean, the turnaround that Prairie View baseball has had this season is unbelievable, and they're fighting it out with Grambling over there in the SWAC West. You were kind of used to Southern or Texas Southern over the past few years in terms of being those elite teams in the West. But, kudos to Grambling baseball and Prairie View baseball fighting out for a 1 and 2 over there in the SWAC West. And then a team like Alabama A&M, we talk about Jackson State in terms of what they've been able to do. They've been tremendous in conference play, but Alabama A&M, they've won 7 in a row. Alabama State is starting to get hot at the right time. So, I think, teams are ascending, going into the tournament right at the right time. And, you take a look at Southern and Texas Southern, you just got to be wary. They play great baseball. Great baseball is in their DNA. We always know Texas Southern, Mike Robinson, they come through at tournament time. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be real fun.
I've never seen Texas Southern, with a team batting average this low in the last 5 years. I went back.
Yeah.
I've never seen a batting staff with that batting average this low. It's just you scratching your head. I agree, CB.
Yeah, a little scratching head, Southern there. I think some of it, they are young, regards that, so we got to keep that in mind. And I think people saw that program be rebuilt, obviously won the championship. And so people don't see teams fall off. But I think people need to also understand that the league is deeper than ever and will get even deeper.
Yes, sir.
Really, your sustained level of success with so many teams pushing to recruit and play at a high level is just going to be challenging to always be at the top. And we'll see that a little bit starting next year with it was basically Jackson State and Alabama State. We see them kind of rotated out. But you see Alabama A&M improving. Kudos to them. They have 3. They just swept this past weekend, so they're on a 3-game win streak pushing forward. Obviously, we talk about FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. They coming in with programs as they're fighting. FAMU in the Southern Division against A&T, figure out that, as well as North Carolina Central, which is ranked last week's previous weeks, I should say, Black College 9 poll is number 2. So you got a lot of mix in that Southern Division in regards with 2 of them coming over here. So it's going to be fascinating as these things start to move up. And let me give a shout out to Grambling. Grambling is playing very well. Started off a little slow, but they're playing some really good baseball at this time. They just swept Texas Southern University in McGregor Park, and anybody knows about Texas Southern, even though they fell off a little bit, that is a hard place to get wins, and you get
very hard. Yeah,
absolutely.
Credit to Grambling in terms of them playing some really good baseball at this period of time. Boy, they split during the regular season, Grambling and Jackson State. So it looks like it might be lining up. Obviously, you got teams like Prairie View, Alabama State, not so fast. Southern, I'm sure, is talking about that. And Texas Southern say, hey, we may have a little trouble in the regular season, but we know how to really push in the tournament. So it'll be interesting to watch out. Let me give some love back over there to the Meac. South Carolina State wins the 2021 Meac Women's and Men's Tennis Championship. We talked about what took place in the SWAC with Alabama A&M getting their first ever SWAC championship, defeating their rival Alabama State. And then the women of Alabama State did it on that side. So you see South Carolina doing the daily double, both men's and women. Shout out to them in terms of what they got done there. Want to talk a little bit about this, though. Get your insights in terms of this. Birmingham Park Board approves annual HBCU football game in Legion Field, which awaits City Council's decision from this is CBS42.com reporting this out of Birmingham, Alabama. You probably heard a little bit about this. This is the famous Morehouse Tuskegee or Tuskegee Classic, as they like to talk about, talking about moving to Birmingham, as the mayor has really pushed that. That's Randall Woodfin, a HBCU graduate, talking about having the city play a more prominent role. And so he pushed really hard. It looks like he's about to get it done. Let me go with you, Charles, in regards, what are your thoughts in terms of this move from one perspective, and obviously the atmosphere that it could bring about bringing it to Birmingham, a city that also loves this HBCU sport?
I was about to say that's an HBCU city in terms of talking about Birmingham. Really impressed by these young, aggressive mayors in terms of courting the HBCU sporting crowd. We talk about Randall Woodfin in Birmingham or Chokwe Lumumba in Jackson. They are fans of the conference, and their cities are making huge pushes to bring SWAC headquarters to their respective city, to bring tournaments, to bring championships to their respective cities. So kudos to those, quote unquote SWAC cities that are really stepping up and really showing the love to the conference.
Yeah, the cities, especially those mayors. Let me give a statement from the Birmingham City Council President William Parker before I go to you, Mike, for your thoughts. We're constantly looking at ways we can position ourselves as a place where people come to enjoy all types of sporting events. We do this by ensuring the continued success of historic venues like Legion Field, while also looking forward to future and seeing what we can do next. The mayor was quoted as saying, since the Office of Sports and Entertainment first engaged with the leadership of Morehouse College and Tuskegee University in the fall of 2019, I have been convinced Birmingham is the perfect home for the Morehouse Tuskegee Classic, end quote. Woodfin said to the mayor there in Birmingham. Obviously, the previous quote was by Birmingham City Council President William Parker. What are your thoughts in terms of those comments and the general thought in terms of moving this classic to Birmingham, Mike?
I think I agree. I think Birmingham is another one of those classic SWAC cities. I think it's a perfect venue, especially for these two teams and for this particular classic. I think the timing is right as well. You're coming out, the exit tunnel of the pandemic, hopefully, with, folks getting more vaccinated. Now folks really want to see some classics, some really good football teams. And now here this thing is starting, in October of 2021, or I believe that's the date. And I don't know what the I'm not exactly sure kind of how the payout works, but you're planting the seed for something that's going to ultimately grow. And I think the timing of planting that seed is perfect. And as CB mentioned, you have these young mayors that are intuitively looking at these opportunities. And to me, the timing speaks of it all. I don't know what the initial payout, but this thing's going to grow. It's something that they can build on for the next 3 or 4 years. I think the initial agreement is like 3 years. So I'm very excited about it too. So if I'm traveling, I want to stop in Birmingham too. It's going to pull a very good crowd from both sides. Go ahead, CB.
I'm curious in terms of whenever we come out of this pandemic, what the sporting public looks like, especially African American, in terms of going into the fall. We're on the cusp, I think, of probably one of the most exciting SWAC seasons, especially football, that we've seen. And I try to think about it today, potentially since the McNair years, in terms of just being really excited about watching HBCU ball. So I'm just curious, how the African American sporting public takes on the fall and takes on, going to the traveling again to these cities and things of that nature to enjoy, what has become, recreational activities for it.
Yeah, I think people are looking forward to the SWAC, and that's a very good point. And this one, although it's not two SWAC schools, it has that same level of feel to it.
Yeah.
It's hard to put it, but it just has a feel to it that it's just great. So I totally agree.
And great points made by both of you all in terms of looking at the multiple dynamics of this classic that is looking like it will be moving to Birmingham. Fascinating in so many different ways. Let me go a little bit off script. Let's go to NFL draft loaded with potential HBCU talents. This is coming from the PhillyTrib.com. That's the Philly Tribune, for those that may not know that short vernacular there. But let me give you a couple of names. It will be NFL draft is April 29th, May 1st in Cleveland, Ohio. Some of the greatest prospects come from historically Black college universities, specifically looking at North Carolina Central cornerback Brian Mills, 6'2", 180 pounds, as well as Grambling offensive guard David Moore, 6'1", 350 pounds. Let me go with you. You can take on either or both of these, Charles. What are your thoughts of these guys and their chance to be drafted this upcoming draft, if you would, 2021?
Excited about both of their opportunities getting drafted. I've read some great things on Mills, especially with regards to his size and length and his ball coverage skills. And then David Moore at Grambling. His strength was one of the things that really jumped out in some of the sort of pre-draft workout things that you've read, especially and his footwork as well. So I think they both have a great opportunity to get drafted. Of course, we love seeing that. And the hope is that scouts are really starting to pay more attention and really doing their homework and making sure that these HBCU guys get a fair look.
Before you jump in there, Mike, let me give you some other names, and you can decide to go in any direction you want. You got Bethune-Cookman, running back, wide receiver, return specialist Jimmy Robinson, 5'8", 175 pounds. You have North Carolina A&T cornerback Mac McCain. We talked a lot about him, seeing him in the Celebration Bowl in all season. 6 foot, 175 pounds, big time all Meac player. Obviously showed out in many ways in the Celebration Bowl. We got to interview him personally. But what are your thoughts on these four names that I put up for you as we get to some more shortly?
Yeah, so Mills has that 6'2" body frame, and that's the body frame that a lot of NFL scouts look for, especially at that position. I had seen some things on social media on David Moore, particularly, and would he make a good OG in the NFL? From what I've read, he has a very good opportunity to go somewhere in the draft. So I'm very excited to see that. 6'1", 350. That's typically the either the mid or lower end of range that you would like for an offensive guard to settle at. So the other one that you may have mentioned was Jimmy Robinson, 5'8", 175 pounds.
Electric.
One of the fans out there, Jerome G. Sutton, said had the lightning bolt. Talking about the lightning bolt fast.
Yeah,
exactly. Electricity, flash, you name it. So maybe undersized, but that seemingly does not bother the NFL as much as it used to. And if you have that versatility, that speed, I think he has a good chance as well. So I'm very excited to see how high he goes, because that could be a good scat back, a Tariq Cohen type of player that you can put, on special teams. You can put at an offensive set where you have, one back in the back, you have two on the side. it depends on the offensive lineup, but he has some very good upsell with his potential, especially with that blinding speed.
I mean, when you take a look at Kansas City Chiefs offense and New Orleans Saints offense, I mean, to utilize those 5'8", 5'9" guys that can operate in space, there's a value to that.
Yep. There used to be a time there was 5'8", 5'9" guys, but now lately with the spread offenses, heck, even shorter quarterbacks are getting an opportunity.
Right.
So I think he's got some good upswing.
The points made. Alcorn State safety Quinterio Cole, 6'3", 190 pounds. Those that have watched a lot of SWAC have seen him get done. HBCU All-American honors, FCS All-American honors, just to give you some idea. Morgan State linebacker Enrico Kennedy, 6'3", 235 pounds. He's sharp as well. Let me stick with you, Mike. Any comments on these guys? Let me get the last one in here. Without ado, to some degree, is Jermaine Martin, the 5'10", 214-pound running back that really showed off in the Celebration Bowl and continues to get it done. Rushed for 1,446 yards on 187 carries while scoring 23 touchdowns in 2019, just to give you an indication of his numbers of what he puts out there. Electric type of guys, some on the defense, some on the offense. Mike, take it away. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I like, don't get me wrong. I like Kennedy, 6'3", 230 pounds, prototype body. But my excitement is around Jermaine Martin. Seriously, that kid is Mr. Excitement. I think he has a chance at going somewhere. Not sure, but if you look at his excitement, 5'10", a little over 210 pounds. The show that he's put on the highest stages, I think he has a chance to go in some of the rounds in the NFL draft without question. Whether he's running back, whether he's special teams, whether he's kind of a scat back. I think he can also be used kind of like a Tariq Cohen or other versatile backs that you see in the NFL and with those packages that they use now.
One cut hits the hole in between the tackles hard, and if he gets behind the secondary, you're not catching it. He's a total back. Love Jermaine Martin. Quinterio Cole, rangy, comes down to the box, comes down and makes great tackles. Another great player that I think should get a really good look on the next level. And Enrico Kennedy. I mean, he's one of those linebackers, sideline to sideline, chases down everything. He leads the team in tackles. One of those type guys. So all these guys, this is some really good talent that the NFL is getting an opportunity to take a look at.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is Dr. Bill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're going to take a quick break and see if we can set up. Hopefully, we'll be able to make the changes and make sure we can get the next interview in. But stick with us. We got a little more coming to you. We'll be right back after this quick break. Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop.
For the first time since 1954, a true HBCU sports champion will be crowned on the field. The Black College World Series will feature 7 HBCUs battling for supremacy in baseball from April 28th to May 1 at Riverwalk Stadium in Montgomery, Alabama. Tickets are available at ticketrun.com. It can be viewed online at mybcsn.net.
This event brought to you by the City of Montgomery, the Montgomery Biscuits, BCSG 360, Black College Nines, Golden Coast Logistics, and the Black College Sports Network.
What a shot! That's how you get hot, young fella.
Q Time is a classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon'
This is Dr. Bill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab. That is Lawrence Tabby McCall with his introduction. I just got a nice message for him that his dissertation proposal was approved today, so he'll be moving forward as he works to earn his PhD. The alpha men keep them coming. Boy, I tell you. This is Dr. Bill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, bringing you back. The poll this week was frozen, but I do want to give an update just for those out there that may have not heard it last week and see what that matchup is. It ultimately creates a top-ranked matchup between top teams coming into the SWAC championship game. Receiving votes this week is Alabama State Hornets, as things were frozen again last week. They finished the season, as you know, 3-3 overall, 3-2 in terms of the conference race with 42 points. Delaware State Hornets out of the Meac, 2-3, 56 points, had that tough loss to end things with South Carolina State, but a classic game. Looked like they're improving. It'll be interesting to see what they're able to get done. They did have their 2 wins over Howard. Jackson State Tigers, 4-3, 3-2. New coach debuting, come out of the season with a record, 4-3, 3-2 in the conference race. The interesting is people are excited to see what goes on in the fall, just outside of the top 5, when those 3 teams you have there. Obviously, as we said last week, things were frozen, so no teams dropped out of last week. Top 5 programs, Prairie View and Panthers sit at 2-1 overall and 2-1 in the conference race. 74 points, moved down a spot last week for number 4 after that tough loss to Arkansas Pine Bluff on the road. Stretched it out, made it competitive and classic type matchup, but Pine Bluff got it done. At number 4, South Carolina.
Foresee that back then?
Well, you know, I knew we had a special team, and I knew we had a great opportunity to get to this point, to get to the championship game. I knew we had to play well. You know, last year we were just a player away last year from getting there. You know, we had a chance, we scored, which we thought we scored last play of the game against Alcorn, and my receiver stepped out. So it was a good call, it was the right call. And but if he don't step out, you know, we in the championship game a year ago. So we knew we had a good football team. We knew we had an opportunity. We just had to execute and take care of business, and that's what we've done so far. Now with COVID, you just never know with COVID. We've been blessed to be able to get through all these situations of cancellations every other week, and guys stay focused, guys stay healthy. We haven't had any cramps really in the game, so we're doing a good job of staying in shape, even though we're not getting to play, didn't get to play as much. And I think that was key, just grinding and controlling what we can control.
Understood.
No doubt about it. You're a good sportsman, because I looked at their play. I had to think twice, but I'm sure that you had a chance to see the replays and everything. So credit to you for calling it like it is. With that, let me go to Charles and ask a follow-up. No, you go ahead, Coach. You want to say something? Go ahead, Charles. Ask a follow-up question.
No doubt. Coach Maynor, you're a former quarterback, and you're considered a quarterback guru. I was curious in terms of scouting the opposition. It seems as though Skylar Perry has really turned the corner this year for UAPB. What is it that you've seen from Skylar Perry as a quarterback?
I see a lot of good characteristics in Skylar. He got a big arm. He can touch it up, and more importantly, he can work the pocket, and he gets the ball out on time. You know, he don't hold that ball long, man. Probably about 2.8 seconds, that ball is gone, and it's on time. And then when he don't, he can pull it down and hurt you with his legs. So we have to be prepared for that. We got to try to cover him, and then we got to try to contain him at the same time, because if we do cover him and we don't contain him, then he can get out of that pocket and hurt us also. So we got to be very disciplined this week on defense with our rush, making sure we stay in our lanes and the ends stay outside, and then in coverage, making sure that we can cover these guys because they do a great job and they got a great scheme.
Schematically, does that present a challenge, because he's led UAPB in rushing a couple of games this spring?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's why we have to be very disciplined with the D-line, and maybe even a spy at times, you know, on crucial downs, not on first and second down maybe, but maybe on third downs. We go with a spy, because he, like I said, man, he can hurt you with his arm and he can hurt you with your leg. So you can cover them all up, and then he pull it down and get you. So it's a tremendous challenge, and that's why their offense is so good, and he's such a good quarterback.
No doubt.
Coach, if you would, let me go inside the film room a little bit. How big are you in terms of breaking down film, in terms of other team, what you do, or is it more about preparing your team for what you want them to do regardless of what's taking place?
Oh, it's both. You know, we got to look at their film and see what defense they're playing, what the front is, their blitzes, the blitz they like to do, and against what formations and where they're coming from. We pick out the numbers. You know, we got to have the numbers and know where he's coming from and who got who. So the back know he got certain numbers, and the offensive line know they got the big on big. They got the offensive linemen. So it's key to watch the film to be prepared for their blitzes and the different fronts. You know, to know if you know defensive end is number 99, and that guy stand out there over the slot. Guess what? He's not covering the slot. He's coming. He played defense end. So it's crucial to understand the numbers and the schemes. And then, of course, after that, then you set up your offensive game plan based on what they're doing in the front and in the secondary. So we have to know what they're doing. We've got to break down the film to know what they're doing. And then that's going to let us know what we want to do.
Good point. Let me go back to you, Mike. Go ahead, follow up.
Coach, like many of the games during the season, you know, some of them have come down to key special teams play. You have a good field goal kicker in Spencer Corey. You got, a punt return game. Is there anything you do? Take us into the room with your, special teams folks, and tell them, what are you doing to get them ready? Because there might become a key moment in that game where, winning that game may hinge on a play. Not in offense or defense, but special teams. What are you doing to prepare those guys mentally?
Well, we just do what we normally do, and those guys know. They call them special teams for a reason. Those are special. Those are special players, special plays, and it's a lot of them. If you just go back and count them in the game, you probably get up to about 18. When you count the kickoffs, the extra points, the kick returns, the block field goals, the block extra point. The special teams get up there in a game. So it's a lot of plays, and we spend a lot of time on it. And we know how important they are. I think Pine Bluff beat Valley on special teams on a punt return. It was 17-17.
Absolutely.
Quarter, and they returned a punt for a touchdown. So, and Valley had that ball at the plus 50 late in the fourth quarter, 1st and 10, and they started going backwards. So, that was huge that Pine Bluff defense stepped it up and pushed Valley back and forced them to punt, and then they ran one back for a touchdown. So you never know when the big play is going to come your way. You got to be ready at all times, and you got to take your hat off to Pine Bluff because they not only they stop them and push them back, they force them to punt, and then they ran it back for a touchdown. So that's part of the game, man. You can't say, well, you only beat us because you ran back the punt. Well, special teams is part of it. Special teams is part of it. It's part of the game. You practice and you work on it, and you work on your punt return, and they perfected it. So, some people may say, well, Valley could have beat them, but they could have. But that's why you play. That's why you play the game. That's why you play 4 quarters.
Charles, follow up.
One of the things statistically that I've noticed with Aquil is he's able to spread the ball around to so many different receivers. How much pressure does that put on defenses when you cannot key on a specific receiver, especially with regards to the type of receivers that you guys have at Alabama A&M?
Well, it just says you can't double anybody. You can't roll the coverage to this guy or roll the coverage to this guy or double this guy, because if you do, this guy gonna kill you. So you pick your poison. If you want to double Xavier Moore, then we got Abdul, we got OJ, we got Jenkins, we got Terrell Garner. We got Keon. So, it just says that you can't really double anybody. You just got to play straight up defense.
No doubt.
Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We're interviewing Coach Maynor, Alabama A&M Bulldogs head football coach. Coach, with that, as you move forward, what are some of your final things in terms of your preparation that you like to put together as you get prepared to travel to Jackson, Mississippi for this championship game?
We just got to make sure everybody's focused. Everybody's doing the little things, because little things is what costs you games. I'll give you an example. The Valley game, it was 1st and 10. They tried to run a little outside zone play, and the up back grabbed the guy and turned him around. They called the holding, backed him up 10 yards. The very next play, they threw a swing to the running back, and the very same guy let the guy run inside of him, hit the running back in the backfield for another 7-yard loss. So those two little things right there could have cost him the game. Just by him grabbing that guy when he didn't have to, because they got like 6-yard run on the play now. But he turned the guy, you know, and it wasn't much, but it was just a small note by him just not playing a little bit harder. With the game on the line, you never know when the big play gonna come your way. Do your play for one play. You got 3 to 4 seconds to get up there and kiss him in the mouth and block that dude, and it could have been a different story. Now, Pine Bluff still would have been in the championship game, but Valley could have pulled off the upset, you know. So it's the little things that we got to sure up and make sure that our guys understand. Play one play at a time. Give me all you got for 3 to 4 seconds.
Thank you, Coach, for your time. I know it's a very busy schedule, and you made amends to find a way to get in here. We really appreciate you doing that for us. We look forward to checking out the game. And as we say, Alabama A&M, go Bulldogs. Good luck this weekend.
Go Bulldogs.
Go Bulldogs.
Go Bulldogs.
A&M, A&M, A&M.
Was that Prairie View? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're gonna excuse you this time.
Coach, quickly, we had Ruben Stutter, Velvet Teddy Bear, on here last week talking about Alabama A&M. He's so excited. So just give a shout out that he's ready. So he had plenty of kudos to say for you. So fans alive, they're gonna be ready for the Bulldogs.
That's right. That's what we're gonna bring all those guys back out, man. That's what happens when you win and get in championship games. You bring all those guys back. They're gonna start wearing their A&M gear. They're gonna start talking, and that's how it happens, man. So we're proud to be doing what we're doing, and we're proud that the alumni are happy and everybody's excited about what we're doing. And now we got to go finish the deal.
No doubt about it. Shout out to Farad and the Twins and all those other Alabama alumni. My wife,
Nation,
as well as my mother-in-law, the big-time Alabama A&M Bulldogs. So they made sure I had to make sure you got your time and got in here. So with that, we'll let you get back to it, Coach. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Yes, sir.
Connell Maynor. With that, let's get back to it. As we start to close out here on a couple of things, we'll bring it to a close. Any final thoughts from you, Mike, on this big-time matchup? Before I do that, let me make sure that I get this information out in terms of the ticket sales. Most people have already got this information, but I would be doing myself a disservice. I didn't get it out there as I scroll through here and make sure I don't miss it. But I'll let you do that, Mike. Go ahead and close with your closing thoughts, if you would.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. I look forward to a tremendous game, even though I'll be watching it on my phone. We talked, about two prolific offenses going against each other, especially with those receivers and with the quarterbacks, Akil Glass and Skylar Perry. But what if this be the game where it turns into a defensive struggle? I got to give AD Drew. He did say that in our last, discussion on Sunday morning. But I've been thinking about this. What if this turns out to be that kind of game? Only in a year, only in COVID can this happen. We talking offense, and all of a sudden it turns into a defensive battle. I'm happy to see it occur. I think it'll bring a lot of folks out, and it's going to be tremendous excitement. I think the bands are going to be allowed to come as well. So that should be great to see some of the bands perform, and that's that other element of the HBCU experience. So lots of excitement. You've heard from the coaches. Ain't nothing left to do but to play the game.
No doubt about it. What are your thoughts, Charles?
Yeah, Mike, if it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. We ain't getting a defensive struggle. The ball going to be up. It's going to be flying around all day. I'm looking for a high-scoring SWAC championship game. Both of these offenses are prolific. I think B.J. Jones might have said they probably have the best sets of receivers in the conference. So, and they have some receivers that can absolutely go get it. When you're talking about Xavier Moore, Harry Ballard, those guys, they can really go get it. And both teams, they spread the ball around to a bunch of different receivers. So it's hard to really key on any particular receiver. So I'm looking forward to a game where it's really going to come down to red zone stops and who has the ball last. So it should be a fun one.
Yeah, I agree. Red zone stops, who has the ball, maybe a little special teams. AD Drew just gave me a shout out. I had to give him credit for that statement for sure. But yeah, I totally agree. It's nothing left to do but play the game. Hopefully they have a tailgate. I want to see what their tailgate is like.
Man, tell AD ain't gonna be no defense. This off.
I feel you, Charles. With that being said, as you talk about the bands, we have confirmed that both bands will be there. They will not march. They will play in the stands. They will not march, which was a point of contention. But the fact
the bumblebee.
Yeah, the fact that they will be there to me is huge in terms of that. As I said, I was going to get you information for those that haven't heard about this Spring 21 Cricket Wireless SWAC Championship Game tickets and parking on sale. Tickets and parking on sale for the Spring 2021 Cricket Wireless SWAC Football Championship presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar in Jackson, Mississippi. University of Arkansas Pine Bluff Lions, 4-0 overall, 4-0 in the SWAC, will take on the Alabama A&M Bulldogs, 4-0 overall, 3-0 in the SWAC. Saturday, May 1st, as you know, in Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium. That is a 2 p.m. kickoff. It will be on ESPN2. Ticket prices at $25 and parking rates at $15. Both can be purchased via Ticketmaster.com. The game will be televised on ESPN2. With that, Charles, you might get a kick out of this. I just got official, or I should say not official, but an intriguing tweet by Ian Rappaport in regards to the fact of the unicorn. The trend may be catching on as Hall of Famer running back Marshall Faulk and Southern University have mutual interest about Faulk becoming its head coach. Sources say,
Stop, CB, stop.
Conversation is done, but the university native could follow in the footsteps of Deion Sanders as a SWAC head football coach. As Charles said, unicorn. Don't say it, Charles. I said it.
Don't say it.
So just smile and sit back. That was courtesy of Holly Carr giving me a heads up that was just sent out. So credit to him making sure I had that information. With that, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. You can say it now, Charles, the uniform.
The unicorns are among us. The unicorns are among us.
With our guest, the head football coach of UAPB, Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions, that's Doc Gamble, as well as the head coach of Alabama A&M football team, the Bulldogs, with Connell Maynor. We hope you enjoyed those interviews. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 o'clock. Gave you a little extra bit. We'll stick to the script on Thursday. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Check us out. We'll go deep into the framework. We also should have a interview with the commissioner, Dr. Charles McCullough. So make sure you hear about what his thoughts were in the spring. And we'll sneak in a little bit about the fall 2021. Check us out Sunday as well, where we'll give you a breakdown of the game on Saturday and really get into the spring, which will be our last episode of the Sunday, as we will do that moving forward. But we'll take a little break and give you a break off as we get into some more of the business of sports. With that, follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Mike?
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball.